We are Rogue Media Sports.
Yeah, whatever. Cam Show. Rogue Media Sports Network. Can't wait to talk to Pete later. Pete's who's in the studio. Can't wait to talk to him later. Zach Burke. Running the board. It's Friday. Patriots played last night. Well, Patriots were on the field in uniform last night. Let's just say that. What a thumping, man. 24-3, and to be quite frank, it didn't feel that close. The Jets just fucking pile drove the Patriots. First win at home against the Patriots in almost 10 years. Good Lord, what a joke of a franchise. But the tables have turned. The Patriots are now the joke. That was dog shit last night. Absolute dog shit from the New England Patriots. Like, we knew they weren't good. I keep coming back to the meme. The Patriots last night were the cardboard sign. Our expectations were low, but holy fuck. Like, is there a team in the last 10 years in the NFL that has gone the first 3 games without passing for 150 yards in any of those games? We even spotted you almost a whole extra quarter last week, and they still couldn't do it. Oh, that was brutal. I don't mind, though. You know, new coaching regime. Let's get a real social experiment out there. Let's see how many times we can win football games without passing for 150 yards. And maybe we'll try tonight to see if our starting quarterback can't pass for 100 yards and see if they can win the game. Spoiler alert, it didn't work. It did not work. The Patriots had 139 total yards in this game. You could have thrown out Perkins School for the blind, and they might have a better chance of getting 140 yards of total offense than the Patriots do. This is a fucking joke. An absolute fucking joke, man. And the defense wasn't much better either. I thought the Jets let them off the hook a few times. Jets go 10 for 15 on third down. Good Lord, how is that anyway a good defensive performance? And you wouldn't even know a game was going on most of the time. The Jets were just kicking the shit out of them, and it was a 3-hour stroke off. Like, working Aaron Rodgers' shaft like it was about to fall off, man. Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit just falling all over themselves, thinking who could get more of his dick in their mouth for 3 straight hours. It was a good game. He played a good game. It sounded like the second coming. They rolled the stone, and Aaron Rodgers was coming out of the tomb. Fucking hell. 27-35, 280 yards, and a couple touchdowns. He played really well. But my God, they just could not get over themselves talking about how great Aaron Rodgers was. Weird guy, but he still got it, man. Still got it. Those Jets, boy, do the expectations get raised now. But for the Patriots, I almost want to Dennis Green this. They are who we thought they were. Because in August, this was the team that we thought was going to roll out on the field for the Patriots. Those joint practices with the Eagles, remember those? When every drop back they got hit, every drop back they had in those joint practices, the Patriots quarterback got hit, and every other drop back they got sacked. That was on full display last night. Jacoby Brissett got hit on like every play. And the Jets end up with 7 sacks on the game. And again, it could have and maybe should have been more. Drake Maye makes his NFL debut. We're talking about him in a few minutes. But Drake Maye comes out drive 1. One drive on the night for Drake Maye. He gets sacked twice. And hit probably 4 or 5 times. It was just a massacre. This is what we were looking at in those joint practices, where they even had a play where Caden Wallace was called for holding, and his guy was the one who got the sack. He can't even hold right. None of them can. Michael Hurley, who does some great X's and O's stuff on the Patriots, had this great video out there where they had an extra offensive lineman, 6 blockers against 4 rushers, and 3 Jets got to the quarterback. That's fucking pitiful, man. They were traffic cones, absolute traffic cones. Left tackle, left guard, center, right tackle. Fucking traffic cones like it's Toy Story 2. What a joke of a team this is. Good Lord, have mercy. I really got to watch 14 more games of that crap? Fucking hell. And as bad as Jacoby Brissett's numbers are, like, can you even blame the guy? He's running for his life by the time the ball is touching his hands. Running for his life and somehow making something happen down there. He's got the worst offensive line in the league. He plays for a team that doesn't believe in wide receivers. Just doesn't believe in that position. Doesn't believe you should waste anything in that position. Because that's an atrocious, atrocious unit. I'll give them some credit. They finally targeted Pop Douglas. They didn't do that last week. Gave him 9 targets this week. He's by far the leading receiver. 7 receptions for 69. They tried to get him involved. But I said this game was going to play into the Patriots' hands because they can run the ball. And the Jets cannot stop the run. They didn't even do well last year stopping the run, and they gave up 310 yards on the ground in the first 2 games of this season. And the Jets get the ball first. They score. It's 7-0. And Alex Van Pelt and the Patriots just say, to hell with running the ball. We've got to pass it right now. They abandon the game plan before their first offensive snap. You face a team that is 24th in rush yards against in the NFL this year, and you give your franchise running back 6 fucking carries? Are you kidding me? How brain dead is that? What is the game plan here? 6 rushes for 23 yards. He gave Antonio Gibson 5. Like, what is the point of that? The Jets have one major deficiency, and you decide to not attack it? What is that about? Is this town league basketball? You showing some respect to your opponent by not going at their kid who can't defend anything? Is that what you're doing? Is that what the Patriots are trying to do? They're just above this. They're too classy to attack the one part of the field that the Jets really suck at. Oh my God, man. They looked like a competent team the first 2 games. Then you look back at that Cincinnati game and you're thinking, well, fumble at the 1-yard line. They ripped away an interception in the end zone, the Patriots did. They forced a fumble on special teams. And you're like, maybe the Bengals just could not get out of their own way in that game. Because, and I thought they were in a winnable position against Seattle too. You looked competent in the first 2 games. I said that does not look like a team that's only going to win 1 or 2 games because they're not shooting themselves in the foot. They're not committing a bunch of penalties. They're not making stupid special teams mistakes. No procedural stuff. That all changed last night because you got to play Caden Wallace at left tackle. Don't know if the guy's played a snap at left tackle in his life. He didn't play a single snap at left tackle at Penn State. Played on the right the whole time. Week 3, short week, you're putting him in at left tackle. What the fuck do you expect? I texted one of my friends. I was like, boy, this really sucks. And that's exactly what he told me. What did you expect? This team is dog shit. The worst offense in the NFL. I don't even count the Panthers. I don't count the Carolina Panthers. That's like counting the White Sox in baseball right now. They are so far below the next worst team, it doesn't even count. So among actual kind of NFL teams, the Patriots have the worst offense. And it was just brutal to watch. And again with the wide receivers, like how do you expect them to go get any kind of offense with the wide receivers they have out there? Tyquan Thornton. Can I take a minute for Tyquan Thornton? Because at this point, I watched him play like every snap of his college career. And I am wondering if Tyquan Thornton is just a theory at this point. Does Tyquan Thornton actually exist? Or are we just putting someone in a Patriots number 11 uniform? Is this a composite character? Something out of AI? A body double? I don't know. But you spent a second-round pick on that guy? When George Pickens was picked behind him? When a Pro Bowl offensive lineman was picked behind him? You traded up to get that guy? With his 2 catches this year? IR the first 2 years because he's like 160 pounds soaking wet? And 2 catches through 3 games this year? 1 target last night, and it was just to get a PI call? The guy's a joke. It's just add it to a long line of second-round wide receivers. The guy is fucking Bethel Johnson. He is a poor man's Bethel Johnson, and you traded up to get him. What a joke this franchise is right now. By the way, for the first time in 25 years, I say, what a joke of a franchise from the top down. Because pregame, as if what wasn't going to, play out the next 3 hours wasn't bad enough. In pregame, Taylor Rooks interviews Robert Kraft, and he's talking about his decision to pick Gerard Mayo as his head coach. And he had an answer that was truly enlightening to all those that were listening.
They're each special individuals. I've gotten to know Gerard over the last 15 years, and I picked him 5 years ago to be our next head. Very special. It's great to have the ability to train under Bill.
Well, speaking of picking, you drafted Drake Maye. What gave you the confidence he could be the future of this franchise?
First off, hell of a broadcast. Hell of a broadcast, Amazon Prime. Would have loved to hear that whole fucking answer, but I know that's a little bit too much to ask for. This high school football game I'm doing tonight, we will have a full post-game interview on a wireless mic, but Amazon Prime cannot pull that off. But Robert Kraft says in there, I picked Gerard Mayo 5 years ago to be the next coach. Where the fuck did that come from? You had the best coach in the history of the league a year after his Super Bowl, and you're looking at a first-year inside linebackers coach and saying, that's our next guy. What? Like, does this not piss you off as Patriots fans to hear that? That he was ready to go for another guy 5 years ago? And based off what? Because he interacted well with old people in Israel? What kind of fucking clown show is this? This is the type of shit we used to laugh at other teams for. And now the Patriots are doing it. 5 years ago? This never stood a chance. No wonder they didn't hire Mike Vrabel. They didn't care about anybody else's resume. They wanted to get rid of Bill so bad, and the first guy they bring in is a guy who has only played and only coached under Bill Belichick, and you picked him 5 years ago. What is this franchise? What is this franchise? Oh, good Lord. This is going to hell in a handbasket, man. What are we doing? We got the owner picking a first-year inside linebackers coach to be the next head coach and just sitting on it for years. And who knows when Gerard Mayo found out? At least, a year or two ago when he signs the extension with basically in his contract, you're going to be the next head coach? Like, poor Mike Vrabel comes up, interviews for the job, very qualified for it. Patriots legend, has success as a head coach in the NFL. And it's just like to pat him on the head, to roll over for you because you already picked the guy 5 years ago. From the top down, this franchise is a joke right now. From the top down. It's an absolute joke what this team has become. And you saw it on full display on Thursday night. They did get a debut for Drake Maye, which we're going to talk about in the next segment, but I just can't even believe how this game went. Like the Jets are a good team. And I said this yesterday. I thought there were some things that could play into the Patriots' hands. But I also said the Jets are definitely a better team than the Patriots. Come on. I mean, the Patriots were always going to be a bottom 5 or 6 team in the NFL, even when they did look competent through the first 2 weeks. But to just totally abandon a game plan before you've even taken a snap, I don't get that at all. And I really liked what Van Pelt was doing the first 2 weeks with what he has at his disposal. But they just decided they were a passing team with the worst offensive line in the league and probably the worst arsenal of weapons in the league. And they said, nope, we're a passing team. No receivers, no offensive line, jag quarterback. But we're down 7-0 5 minutes into the game. We've got to start passing now, damn it. Completely fucked you from the start. I mean, this is a bad team, man. This is a bad team. This is what I was saying a month ago, Zach. This is the team I was thinking about. But now you got a long week. You got 10 days to prepare for checks notes. Oh, the San Francisco 49ers. I'm sure that'll be much better. And then at home, you'll face the Miami Dolphins, and Skylar Thompson will probably get his first win of the season. Because the Patriots no longer, the last 5 years, they're not allowed to beat the Dolphins. That's in the NFL rule books. Not allowed. The Patriots have gone to great lengths to make sure that they do not beat the Dolphins. And it isn't going to matter that Tua is not out there because this Patriots defense showed some serious signs of weakness this week, and their offense isn't going to be able to move the ball. They got 11 first downs in the game last night. I think 3 or 4 of them were in junk time on that final drive. There's just nothing, there's no stat you can take from this game and say, oh, well, the Patriots were good. Well, they had more drives than the Jets. They had 21 less points, but they did have one more drive. Jets run 22 more plays. They outgained the Patriots by an incredible 260 yards of offense. I thought it was bad enough that they were outgaining them by about 140 in the first half, and they pretty much kept on pace to finish 260 above. And thankfully, the Patriots defense did wake up in the final few minutes of the game, or that last drive by the Jets, I should say, because they got New York down to 5.7 yards per play. Only 6 yards a play. How many games are you going to win doing that? Patriots win the penalty battle. Love that for them. Love that for them. And they were 0-1 in the red zone. I thought the Jets kind of took it easy last night. I thought they kind of put the hands at 10-2 and got it into the driveway. Because, I mean, this could have easily been 41-3 the way the Patriots played. And it was a weird time to bring in Drake Maye for his NFL debut. We're going to talk about that next on The Cam Show, powered by Rogue Media Sports Network.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.
Why stop it in the commercial breaks? Because, look, I'm getting some shit thrown at me today. From some of my friends who are not Patriots fans, and I'm actually usually not a big gloater, which I know is surprising to Pete Souza, but it was like so easy during college. Like the Patriots just went to the Super Bowl every year, and it was so easy. Like I didn't even need to gloat. People they were already pissed off. But I've got this guy I work with who used to be a Cowboys fan and has completely given it up because they've sucked for so long, and now is trying to like throw shit at me about how great it is that the Patriots suck. I'm like, dude, you don't even have a team. You gave up on a team. You don't get to do that. Zach Burke, who has been a loyal Houston Texans fan for 20 plus years since they became a franchise, and most of it has sucked.
Yeah, that's
He
true.
can throw some stones at me.
They are the most successful playoff team in Texas in the past 25 years. So
You're goddamn right. Will I still be pissed if you throw stones? Yeah, a little bit. But come on. Like, you got to have a team to do that. I hate that shit. Just because you have a fantasy football team doesn't mean you can just throw stones. Fuck that. Like, genuinely fuck that. That pisses me off so much, man. Ugh. Anyway, Drake Maye. Drake Maye makes his NFL debut on Thursday Night Football. Why? I'm not sure. Because look, to some degree, we all want to see Drake Maye out there, right? He's the future of the franchise. But I'm watching a game where Jacoby Brissett is getting hit every drop back. I'll go back to the Dan Hurley tweet where there were 6 guys covering 4, and 3 of them for the Jets got to the quarterback. I'm watching that game for a couple hours, and here's Drake Maye on the sidelines because the offensive line is the worst in the NFL. That's a huge reason why they haven't just thrown him to the Wolves to start the season the way they did Mac Jones 3 years ago. That's been the reason, is because the offensive line stinks. That's why you can't put Drake Maye out there. Allegedly. Because after that, they just throw him out there. Why not? By the way, it wasn't 41-3. It could have been 41-3, but it wasn't. So the Jets had quite a few starters out there. They had some good defensive players out there. And wouldn't you know, Drake Maye goes out on the field, gets hit on like 4 or 5 dropbacks, takes 2 sacks. And it's like, why do we do that? If we're so concerned about bubble wrapping the kid that we're not going to play him, why are we then playing him on the only game that someone has blitzed against the Patriots? Which is truly mind-boggling, by the way, that through the first 2 weeks, nobody blitzed against this team. They faced like 6 blitzes in 2 games. And the Jets are thinking, if I'm not mistaken, this offensive line fucking blows. Why don't we just throw the house at them? That's what they did all night. And that was the game that they were like, yeah, let's put Drake Maye out there. And to make it worse, he gets out there. First pass is almost picked off, by the way. But they get a 3rd and 13. And this is where I get bogged down. This is where I get football guy. 3rd and 13. You're just throwing him out there to see what he's got at the end of a game. You're not going to win it anyway. And they're throwing behind the line of scrimmage on 3rd and 13. Like, I get it. Okay, your offensive line can't block. What do you expect for time to throw back there? It's like, but it's that way every play. He's getting hit every play anyway, and you knew that was going to be the case, putting him in there. Why not see if you could take a shot on 3rd and 13? How does it behoove you whatsoever to throw it behind the line of scrimmage? How does that help you? How does that help the kid? How does that help any part of this? And it becomes a nothing play. It's like, whatever, but it's the mindset of this team that I'm like, what are we doing here? And now people are saying, Drake Maye, this has got to be the time. You got to start him after a long week going into San Francisco, which was what I said before the season could be the first time you see him. But it's like, this is where we were in August. We said that we all kind of agreed, fans, media, coaching staff, that this offensive line was not good enough to put him out there. It looked okay through 2 games. Maybe you're thinking, well, maybe we could see Drake Maye sooner rather than later. But on Thursday Night Football, we saw that piss poor offensive line and that's putting it nicely, that we saw in August. So how do you just put the kid out there now? Maybe against Miami, a backup quarterback, maybe. But what I saw last night is a harsh reality for when Drake Maye is going to make his first start for the Patriots. And that is the reality that the Patriots coaches will not have the luxury to decide when Drake Maye's first start is. They won't have that luxury. Jacoby Brissett will make that decision for him when he's being carted off a field, because they can't protect anybody's ass right now. So yeah, you can put some things in place and think, oh, Drake Maye, week 7, maybe week 8. Not their call. Not their call. Jacoby Brissett's going to get killed out there. And you will have to put Drake Maye in the game. And now it becomes, why do you have 2 rookie quarterbacks back there behind him? I thought coming out of camp, once they didn't give Bailey Zappi much time in the preseason, I was sitting here thinking, maybe they'll keep Bailey Zappi because that's how bad this offensive line is. That maybe Drake Maye won't be ready when Jacoby Brissett's knocked out of a game, and then you at least bring in something of an NFL veteran. Instead, if and when Jacoby Brissett is knocked out of a game, you've got your rookie quarterback who isn't ready, or else he would be starting, and you've got a guy behind him in Joe Milton who's way more raw. This is going to be a disaster. This is going to be an absolute disaster, which is slightly different from what we saw in the first 2 weeks. I thought this was a 5-win football team after last night. You cannot win 5 games if you don't pass for 150 yards. You can't win 5 games in this league doing that. So I have this as a 2-win team, and hopefully Carolina will be defeated this year, the perfect record of 0-17, so that they're at least worse, and the Patriots will have the number 2 pick in the draft. And we'll talk about some great wide receiver like a Marvin Harrison Jr. last year, and they'll say, should the Patriots actually pick that guy instead of the best left tackle in the draft? And it will be mind-numbingly stupid, because we'll go right back to this point. Oh, well, Drake Maye, how is he supposed to win without a receiving threat on the outside? How is he supposed to win if he's not being knocked into the goddamn turf every play? Like, there should be no dispute. We are 7 months away from the NFL draft in 2025. There should be no question that the Patriots are picking a tackle in this draft. No question. I don't want to hear about Travis Hunter. I don't want to hear about whoever the best receiver is. I don't give a shit. Pick a fucking left tackle so that we can actually move forward as a team that is worthy to be one of 32 in the National Football League. Because right now they're not. And they are literally stunting the growth of the franchise and their young quarterback because they don't have an offensive line. They have a Pop Warner offensive line out there. It might be just as bad as Colorado's that gave up 56 sacks last year, an almost unthinkable number in 12 games. But that's how bad we're talking. It was only 7 sacks last night for the Jets. I'm telling you, it could have been 12. So, I see the vision. I know why you have the veteran Brissett out there, right? He can't pass for 150, let alone 200. He's never going to do that, but he turns 11 sacks into 7 sacks, 5 sacks for him. That's what he can do for you. And God, what an abysmal watch. What an abysmal watch. Oh, just Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit taking turns, working that shaft for Aaron Rodgers. What a game. What a broadcast. And we'll probably mention a little bit of this with Pete, but he is asked, how do you know that Al Michaels hates Kirk Herbstreit? There was 4 different times in that broadcast last night that either one of them teed up the other and they didn't take the swing, or B, and I think this happened 2 or 3 times actually, Kirk Herbstreit said some stat And then like 3 minutes later, Al Michaels would say the same thing. They're not even listening to each other. They don't give a shit. Oh, bad product, bad football, all the way around. 40 minutes of time of possession for the Jets. They had the ball 2/3 of the game. And they only scored 24 points. Christian Gonzalez was fine. He did give up a touchdown to Garrett Wilson, but that was the best throw of the night from Aaron Rodgers. That was a sickening threading of the needle throw at the front pylon to Garrett Wilson that if it had been almost any other quarterback in the league, Christian Gonzalez would have ran it for a 99-yard pick six, which would have been an awesome moment for him. But I think Wilson only ends up with, 5 catches. 5 catches for 33 yards and a score. But he was targeted 9 times and came down with 5 catches. Right? Yep. With a long of 9 yards on the game. So that's a good Christian Gonzalez performance. Keon White looked banged up at the end of it. Jabril Peppers went out at one point. So you didn't even get the health thing. You lost Juwan Bentley for the year last week. You've had Jabril Peppers is questionable through the first 2 weeks anyway, first 3 weeks, and he got banged up in this game. This is going to be a long, long season. I feel bad for any poor sap who has to sit through every game so he can do a Locked On Podcast Network post-game show. That would suck, whoever that kid is. Whoever that level-headed person is.
I feel like I know somebody, but it's not registering.
To be fair, it might be the last time I do the postcast. It was only a little bit cleaner than that first segment, language-wise, which they don't really like on the Locked On Podcast Network. One of them I could have gotten away with. Ass. I think you can get away with ass. You can say ass on the radio. You know that.
Yeah.
Shit, I don't think so.
Were you quoting somebody?
Like 40 people
Maybe you
watch
could
those. So
push it off that way. Like you were quoting somebody and that's why you said it.
No. In fact, someone from the Locked On Podcast Network did get fired for quoting somebody and saying a bad word.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I think that was the case. Maybe I shouldn't speak if I don't know 100%, but I love the Locked On Podcast Network. Like that's not even like for real. I love those guys and I love doing it. But yeah, I did get carried away a little bit. How could I not? That game was dog shit, man.
Yeah, I told you I turned it off.
God,
in the second
stop
quarter.
Rubbing it in, man.
I'm not.
I wish I could
but
turn it off.
I know. I honestly had the thought. I told Cam when I got here this morning. I had the thought of like, man, I can't stomach watching this. I know that he has to. I'll just listen to his recap the rest of it tomorrow morning.
Did you feel like you got in the game?
I
got
do.
the feel of the game?
Yeah, I do. I felt like I was there, or at least there with a frustrated Patriots fan.
Yeah. This says Jacoby Brissett passed for 98 yards and that Drake Maye passed for 22 yards, but they have 61 passing yards on the game. I was never too good at math, but
Did they subtract the sacks from?
maybe. Yeah, maybe that was it. And it's total yards done by the quarterbacks. I don't know. But yeah, that was dog shit. That was absolute dog shit. And the other thing with what started this segment, and this is absolutely me being very bitter, much like the Aaron Rodgers thing. But the other thing too is like people are just now like doing the victory laps that the Patriots suck. It's like, where were you last year? You know, like they were terrible. They were awful. And they've really only been kind of good for one season of the last 5. So it's like, and I did hear, I did see some Jets fans on Twitter that were like, it's not even that fun. Like they're just pretty bad.
Yeah.
The Patriots. Like there's no intrigue. There's no drama anymore. They just stink. Of course, Robert Kraft tries to bring in some drama saying that he picked his head coach 5 years ago. And then I'm going to get one more thing out of the way of me being the bitter, petty Patriots fan. Because after the game, Drake Maye daps up Aaron Rodgers like the quarterbacks do all the time. But Drake Maye told the reporter he's waiting for the GOAT to talk to Aaron Rodgers. I'm sorry. What the fuck did he say? The GOAT? Aaron Rodgers? The guy who's won 1 NFC championship? 1-4 in NFC championship games? I want this guy to be the franchise quarterback of the New England Patriots, and he thinks Aaron Rodgers is the GOAT? You've got to question decision-making at that point. That's brain dead fucking stupid. Like, are you kidding me? The Patriots should be pissed about that, by the way. Robert Kraft should be pissed about that. He thinks Aaron Rodgers is better than Tom Brady?
Yeah, and I want to argue something of like maybe it's a generational thing, but like there's quarterbacks not that far removed from the league that I would still put. Like obviously I
well.
know who, yeah.
Me as well.
But I'm just saying like there's a lot of other people before Rodgers.
And by the way, Aaron Rodgers is great.
Yes.
He is at worst a top 10 quarterback of all time, maybe a top 5. But number 1 played for the same fucking franchise that you are supposed to be saving. I'd be bullshit if I was the Patriots. I really would. I know it seems petty and stupid and things for fans, but are you kidding me? Like, we picked you 3rd overall. You went in June and saw that suckfest for Tom Brady. They're going to put a statue out in front of the stadium, and you think Aaron Rodgers is better? That's not good. That is not good. That really makes me question the kid's intelligence, his decision-making, and how crazy he's going to be off the field. That would piss me off enough if I worked for the Patriots that he's just saying that about the Jets quarterback to begin with. But the fact that the actual correct answer on who the GOAT is played for the franchise of the jersey that you're wearing right now, I'd be so bullshit if I was Robert Kraft. So bullshit. Or Gerard Mayo. I'd be like, kid, how about you hit the fucking books a little bit? Because it wasn't that long ago when this guy, Tom Brady, was dicking everyone in the league, including Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers won an MVP award the same year he lost to Brady in the NFC Championship game. The guy's got 1 Super Bowl and he's 1-4 in conference championship games. Brady made 8 championship games in a row and has won 7 Super Bowls. But I don't know, because the guy is good at smoking weed, he's the GOAT? Because he doesn't talk to his family? By the way, I hear about how great Drake May's family is and his brothers in the group chat and how supportive they are. And this guy says the GOAT is one that doesn't even talk to his family? Got to question that too, Zach. Really got to question that. I'm sorry. That really pissed me off. That really pissed me off. As someone who's been a Brady defender for his whole life, as someone who has admitted has complete blinders for everything Brady does. But like, this guy says he's so happy to play for the Patriots and what a great organization it's been, and, wants to bring a winning tradition back. Are you sure? Because if you're idolizing Aaron Rodgers, that means you're not really interested in winning Super Bowls. You'll take your 1, get on your merry way. You'll do less with more than anyone in the league the next decade. Aaron Rodgers is the GOAT. Fuck off with that. I might trade the kid right now for saying that. That's not going to work in this town, buddy. No fucking chance. We got Pete Souza coming on to tell me how stupid I am and how crazy I am next. All right, but seriously, Pete, imagine the Chicago Bulls draft Cooper Flagg this year. Okay, number 1 prospect. And the first game against the Lakers, he's waiting around saying, I got to go talk to the GOAT. Would that piss off the Bulls?
Look,
who have the actual GOAT that had played for them? And by the way, this isn't apples to apples because this would be if Michael Jordan was playing for
let
the
me
Bulls
start by saying
like 5 years ago.
Let me start by saying I think you're insane.
Yeah.
But
sure.
I love it. But I love it. I truly do love it. And I agree with you in some respects, but it's not a Drake May problem. It's not a Cooper problem.
Well, Cooper has not made a problem yet.
Well, but
I will support my maniac.
Yeah. That's but it's a sports problem. I mentioned about earlier this week when the Fowler Nicoletti kid went to shake Shedeur Sanders' hand, and Shedeur was like, "No, you want to talk smack? You want?" I love that because that is competition. That is, I feel like we're way too in the friend zone sometimes.
Okay, you think they're too nice?
Yeah,
totally. I think the term GOAT just gets thrown around too much.
Oh, 100%.
Like it's literally supposed to be.
Well, it doesn't. It carries,
you know?
but and to your point, it carries no weight anymore.
Yeah.
Like if I'm texting someone, I'll say you're the GOAT. Now, clearly they're not the GOAT.
Yeah.
But
the
it's
Celtics would do it with like Paul Pierce when Paul Pierce.
No,
would
it's
come back.
like
he's not. Come on.
Now it's like
That's
just
stupid.
paying somebody a compliment or patting somebody on the back.
Yeah,
it
like
means,
calling someone king.
It means it means nothing anymore. So I agree with you.
You know what I thought about last night, Pete?
What?
The first time you had me on the Pete Souza show, was like April or something, and you were like asking me how I still get like, do I feel weird that I'm a grown man that still gets worked up about these sports teams that I can't control?
Yeah.
And I said yes. And you said you faced those issues as well.
Yes.
Specifically Villanova basketball.
Oof.
And last night I had that thought because like I've kind of gone past the fact that, you know, like it is weird that I still get worked up about this. And I don't know if I have kids somewhere down the line, maybe it gets different because my dad also sports fanatic and was when he was a kid, like doesn't get worked up at the games anymore. But what I thought about last night was not just the why do I get worked up about my team losing? Why do I get worked up when I know they fucking suck?
Well,
I know their ass.
I was about to ask you that question because you know your expectations were set this before the season started.
They changed a little bit, but
they
really
were
bad
in
team.
the basement.
Yeah.
And then it was fool's gold that first win. And just like I would have done, I do the same crap. They won the first game and it's like, wait a minute. Like, I don't care what people say, what story you tell yourself. When you like right now, Baylor's 2-1. Okay. I am loyal to Baylor because they've given me a lot of opportunities and I've gotten whatever. I pull for Baylor. And I'm like, they win against Colorado. They're 3-1. Here we go. Sugar Bowl. You know, it's like I'm out of my mind. I really am. Now you just say playoff.
Yeah.
But
I'll warn you, every time Baylor plays a big game, they're going to lose it.
You mentioned Villanova
Except
basketball.
for like 2 or 3 in my time. Yeah.
You mentioned Villanova basketball. First of all, that's a bullshit statement.
Dude, I'm telling
honestly,
you.
Cam, you're a spoiled brat.
Yeah, I am. I will
won
admit that.
No, seriously. You went to 2 Sugar Bowls with horseshit teams that surprised you and won a lot of big games, and you won a national championship.
I'm telling you, outside of that year 2021, Baylor's not done.
But that counts.
That's why I just said like 3 or 4.
Outside of that, like if the queen had balls, she'd be the king, dude.
Queen's dead, thank God.
But you get what I'm saying, and you mentioned Villanova basketball.
Yeah.
Though, back to the topic about. I was taught early. For my upbringing consisted of Rocky Balboa and Villanova winning the '85 championship. Rocky was complete fantasy, but tell that to a 9-year-old, right? Like, so these 2 things taught me that anything could happen. So I have been drinking that juice for my entire life.
Fiction, but
I'm. It's sometimes
like
ignorance is
85.
Bliss.
You should be like in on that.
Nah,
that really happened.
Kind of. Yeah,
11
I was. I'll never
seed.
forget. I mean, my mom had gone there. She didn't work in the athletic department yet, but we were really dialed into the university. And I remember my dad's good buddy, Mr. Burke, came over. He would come over and have a couple drinks with my dad. It was really cool, like on Monday nights, created a cool environment. Or the game was on Monday night. He did it almost every night. But I remember him being like, there is no way that Villanova's. He's like, I'll give you each like 100. It was crazy. It was like, and I remember, when you're a kid, you look up to those guys. I like Mr. Burke, and I remember thinking like, wow, we got no shot. I mean, but they were saying that the entire run, and so I believe in miracles. Like Al Michaels, your boy, who you were just taking a huge dump on. And by the way,
it's
one
sad
more
with
thing.
Al Michaels. I love Al Michaels.
I'm on a roll.
Yeah.
I don't think that him and Kirk Herbstreit don't like each other. I think that Al is just sort of like, I don't know. I don't know. I just think he's a good guy. I don't think he is as hungry as he maybe was before. He's just too laid back. I don't know.
I mean, probably he's like 80 years old.
Yeah, but the reason I say that he likes him, this is based on you may have seen this too. He was on Dan Patrick yesterday talking about Kirk and talking about Kirk's dog, and it was very clear that he enjoyed Kirk Herbstreit. Now he may think Dan Patrick asked him, "Have you ever had any other color analysts bring pets into the booth?" And Al Michaels said, "No, I haven't." He said, "But I've had a couple color analysts who were pets themselves."
Al has worked with some real ones, man.
Yeah, and he doesn't. I
worked
love,
with OJ at one point, right?
Oh yeah. Him and OJ did the '84 Olympics together. They covered track, and then they did Monday Night Football.
I was gonna say, I was thinking of Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
That is funny. All right, so you're still a play-by-play guy.
Mhm.
I don't need names here, but like, does that sound like an accurate like percentage of guys that you're just like, I don't like working with these people. I don't like talking with these people.
It's happened to me just a handful of times.
Go right.
My biggest adjustment was you work with people who are a little unruly. So early on in the game, you'll have, and maybe you've had this happen, like early on in a game, or like if it's a big game and it's a huge opportunity for you, you're like, oh my God, like this color analyst, like the rules are there's no rules. And then it's like, okay, then it's like, I think that's where I'm lucky to be doing this, like as an old man almost. Cause I'm like, all right, like I'm not getting worked up. Like I'm going to make this guy look good. I'm going to stay out of the way and be a total team player and keep the broadcast, on track. Then I've had guys who I've just been like, oh my God, this behavior is unacceptable. How do I navigate this? And that's when I'm talking to God during the game. And I'm just like, hey, let me just get out of the way. And I sometimes hear the Dave Aranda in my head. How are things going when they're not going well? Like, how you doing right now? Like, because this is hard, Dude,
so. I love this, that in your head there is Rocky, Rolly Massimino,
yes,
Dave Aranda.
Yeah, Dave Aranda. Yeah, how are things going when they're not going well? Like that's when something terrible happens in my life or something really crazy is happening. Like if I'm in a decent place, that voice will come on. If I'm not, if I'm in a bad place, I'll just want to commit murder.
Is that supposed to be like perspective?
Yeah, it's like, this is your time, dude. Like, this is the time for you.
I need some of that.
Yeah, well, this is your time for you to rise above and be exceptional and be elite. Like, because I do think there's like Al Michaels, I think he is so brilliant. I don't have that. I do think I have chops to be like a really good play-by-play guy, but
I think you already are.
Thank you. But I think there are opportunities then when you can separate yourself, and behaving normal is like a big opportunity.
Dude, that sounds like there needs to be some gratitude there. And I really suck at gratitude, man.
Well,
as I'm sure you've picked up on.
Well, okay.
I cannot take a compliment. Like I very rarely look at the bright side of things.
But
like
that's what makes you who you are too.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this show, the Cam Show, interesting. So I would say don't change, but maybe start making a gratitude list every morning.
My aunt gave me that. She gave out like words on our Christmas Eve party. Catholics, so big Christmas Eve party.
Yeah.
But this was 2 years ago. My word was gratitude, and I didn't do it enough. I just did not do it enough. She's like the sweetest lady, and she was so genuine. Like, she knows us very well, and so she was.
So it's not like we're picking these words out of a hat,
right? Right. She was like, I think for you, gratitude.
Well, look at it this way. When I was your age, somebody would have handed me a paper for the 100th time that said sobriety. So I was a long way from being anywhere near the par. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't appreciate enough shit.
Well, it's that's something you can change.
I can.
That's in your control.
But I think what it comes back to, and this is not like pinning this on Pete, but what it comes back to is a mentality that we both have, which you said it the other day on the air of, if I don't take every job, I'm going to be living under a bridge.
Yeah. But
I've
that's
just like pushed myself like to the edge.
yeah.
Like doing that.
I talked to a play-by-play guy. I mean, you bring up a great point. I talked to this guy last week. He's got some really good jobs, and he's known in the business. And he was telling me, like, look, he told a story that because we were talking about you always want more and you always feel kind of empty.
I told you I've never been like content with a job.
And well, he told a story about an elite play-by-play guy who you would consider top 10 right now, who still gets pissed when he doesn't get certain events, like freaks out. So it's kind of like, and this guy is, I think his I don't even want to say, but opportunities were presented to him just because of who he was early in his life. And I'm not saying his dad was a broadcaster either, but he was in the right place to round into form. And it's a window into look, man. It just is what it is. You know
who I think did this to me? In all seriousness, who had a big part in this? No. Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
I mean, as you could tell from this first 2 segments of the show, I idolized the Patriots growing up. Every single thing they did. And like, I try to live my life that way subconsciously.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And some of it's good, not making excuses, being a team player, doing what you need to do and not being worried about what the people around you are doing. But in that same vein, the year they go 16-0, Belichick's ripping them in the film room every time for the stuff they did wrong. And so like, that's kind of in my mentality too. It's given a lot of positives to my life. And I don't think here's some gratitude. I don't think I would even be in the position I was in now if I didn't take the Patriot way so seriously. But then again, there's a lot of that. Like, you could have been better.
Well, I think that,
and there's obviously some good and bad with that.
But
too.
that's greatness.
Yeah.
I mean, that's greatness.
I'm in my Belichick Browns era right now.
I mean, look, dude, how old
I'm going to
be
knocked down a peg in the next couple of years.
How old are you? How old are you?
27.
I mean, dude, I'm telling you,
this has become a therapy session.
Well, I'm just telling you, there
okay.
is a lot of road left. And when people start to look, I think that is what screws people up. I've seen a lot of really talented guys who want this thing really bad. Just literally, I've said it a million times before, Jay Leno in line outside the open mic night, and a couple comics get out of line, and Jay Leno thinks to himself, wow, so you're telling me if I just stick around, I'm going to move up in line? Because people just can't take it. They're like, screw it. I don't want
I feel like one of those people that can't take it. But is that a real story?
It's a real story. Early in his career, he's outside like the Laugh
Talk about a metaphor,
somewhere.
Man.
Yeah, and he's like, so I know a lot of guys who are good at this, who just, and a lot of times it's life circumstances. Like, I think that my opportunity came about because I was so screwed up in the early phases of my life because of alcohol and drugs that I couldn't even keep a woman. Or let alone like have a relationship where we would have a kid. So like by the time I got sober, I was like, well, I'm in my early 30s. Like, let me really do this. So there you have it. Like, I know a lot of guys who got married, had kids when they were just like, I can't sustain. I'm not making enough money.
Yeah.
So, falling in love is a great thing,
man.
Cam. But
see, this is the gratitude part. I don't even think about that.
Yeah.
I think about the money I'm making. Or the fact that I don't see her.
Yeah, you gotta love it, and you gotta love it, and you do love it. So I mean that's the number.
Some days, yeah. Like there are some days, and I think you probably hit these days too, where I'm fucking sick of it,
dude. That happens to Al Michaels.
I know.
But
like I'm saying, there are those days too. And for me, as you've been able to tell, probably it's like it's sports more so than it is just sports media.
Yeah,
I think that was my original dream, sports media, but like it's staying in that. Some profound things my dad said to me once. My dad is like the best, but only the last few years as I've been an adult do we get like a lot of advice that I'm really taking at face value at the time. You know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Like, you kind of don't realize the other stuff.
Dude, 100%.
He had said when I was 5, we visited Iowa. This is weird because my
The school?
ancestors founded a town in Iowa. No, it's like this podunk little town. And we went
What
to
was the
like where my
town?
great grandfather lived, Donaldson, Iowa.
Okay.
And
Just because I know Iowa City and names, you know.
there was this giant water pump. They had to get their water from a well, and so they'd have to pump it out. And it was kind of a funny thing to do of like, here's how they used to live. And apparently, because I don't remember it very well, I kind of remember it. I was like pumping the well thing, just pumping it. And nothing was coming out. And like the next person who went up did like 2 pumps and it went out. And so the message here is you did 80% of the work there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And don't let someone else come in and reap the fruits of your labor. It's kind of like that meme where they're pickaxing through to the gold, and it's like you don't know how close you are. You
Yeah.
did a ton of that work behind the scenes, and everyone just sees the guy who pumps the water out.
It's the lonely work. I when I first got sober, I used to call like the guy who was my sponsor at the time, and I would be like, "This sucks. I'm living in Springfield, Massachusetts.
Yikes.
I was staying in a Red Roof Inn. I was like, I'm alone all the time. I was calling the G League for the Springfield
Really? I
Armor
didn't know
play-by-play, and I was like, this isn't worth it. And the guy was like, dude, like people only see the finished product. He's like, everybody, like 99% of the guys you love or you want to aspire to be like they did so much lonely work, and they did exactly what you're doing now. They ate a lot of shit, but you see the finished product with them on CBS or Fox, like you're doing the thing, man. You know? And as much as I hated him at the time, I would get off the phone and be like, you suck, in my head, like forget Scott Dillon. He's got all the answers. But he was right. And the seed was planted just enough, surface level enough where it started to sink in and grow.
I just think it's funny that we needed like a therapy session in segment 3 after what I just witnessed in week 3 with the Patriots.
I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to provide.
It happened organically. It happened organically. I didn't come in here being like, Pete needs to give me career advice.
No, but look, I can't tell you. I have the same. I have the same. Even like where I am in my career, I have the same stuff in my head. Like it's just, and I talk to other guys who have the same. It's all relative, dude.
And in like 5 years, dude, we're gonna have you as a member at Quail Hollow.
I would love that. You'd have to take me to play golf though. I'm not good. I've played like once ever. Like seriously, I was talking to my boy yesterday about Quail Hollow, and he was saying how it's almost, if not as nice as Marion, in Philly.
We talking to TZ?
TZ? No, we're not talking TZ.
Oh, well, I don't know. He's the only guy I know
Taylor
that you know.
Zarzer. No, because I live in Charlotte.
All right. Anyway, Pete, 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Am I still on with you? Are you going to jack my segment?
No, you're on. Yeah.
All right.
I got a lot to talk about, and I have a lot to talk to you about. Yeah, and by the way, the Inside the Big 12, that show is up and running now.
Hell yeah, dude.
So
we're gonna
check
have you
it out.
Locked On next week.
It's on the Big 12 YouTube page, yeah. And there's more to come with that. They're kind of figuring out the distribution, but you can, or easy access now.
Cool. I like easy access. It's noon in Central Texas. We got to go. Pete's on in an hour. I'm going to be on with him at one point, and we're going to talk stuff. I guarantee it. Patriots suck, but you already knew that. We'll probably talk a little bit more about that on Monday when we come back on the Cam Show, powered by Rogue Media Sports Network.